we'll be starting the panel discussion, Future of Green Manufacturing. So first we go for an open question. An interim budget was presented by our Finance Minister, Nirmala Sitharaman. And there they talked about the green technology. So what initiative in the budget aim to promote the development of green technology in the manufacturing sector? To start with Mr. Prakash.
Yeah, I think in terms of the green manufacturing, the central budget has a lot of focus, I think. More specifically in terms of biomanufacturing and biofoundry to promote green growth. And apart from that, I think what I have noticed is about the green hydrogen mission and green credit program. I think these are all the ones which are actually propelling for entire manufacturing industry towards green manufacturing. I think there are plenty of initiatives which the government has tried to bring in. Since it was an interim budget, I'm very sure when we have a full budget, we will get more details on this. But the government intention is quite clear and strong, and is in line with the overall government of India's promise of moving towards the 2070 net zero, carbon net zero.
Definitely, India is advancing towards 2070. Mr. Prahlad, what are your views about the budget for promotion of the development of green technology?
Good evening. Here, I just want to focus on the three things. The budget is actually an interim budget that is actually presented by Honorable Finance Minister. And in this, actually, the powering a clean, green, and energetic India target net zero, as Prakash just mentioned, by 2070, it's made very clear. And there's a clear highlight on innovation, sustainable development, and green growth that is there. When it comes to the part of innovation, the budget actually proposes to establish a 1 lakh crore corpus and a 50-year low investment loan for tech-savvy youth. Okay, so that is expected to boost research and innovation, which is very much required in a country like India. And there is also a mention about the corporate tax reduction that is there from 30% to 22%. And also there is an incentive that will be given for companies, especially MSMEs, who embrace clean energy solutions, sustainable solutions, particularly the shift towards the CNG as well as compressed biogas instead of using diesel. Okay, so this is there, and Newgen has come up with technologies that the grass that is there in Kushinagar in UP district, they're going to convert that into compressed natural gas, compressed biogas that is there, and that will actually propel the industries with energy requirements. And also there is a focus on infrastructure and housing, which sounds very good for woodworking and furniture sector. A capex target of up to 11.1 lakh crore, that's a huge amount, on infrastructure, and as well as particularly in focus of housing development that is there. So that actually is a very good point, what is there presented in the budget. And one conspicuous absence from this is about green hydrogen. Probably in a full-time budget when they present, definitely that will be the major point of discussion will be there, and there will be a lot of focus will be given on to that. That is my take on the interim budget. What was presented.
Thank you for sharing the views. Green hydrogen is the future alternative. What are your views, Ms. Neelam?
I believe Mr. Prahlada has already captured on the budget portions. I would also like to touch upon the COP28 promises that India stood for, that happened in the December at the global platform, where naturally we all know that India committed for a net zero by 2070, but also India committed for that there will be share of increase on the renewable fuels by 50% by 2030. That means that's going to push a lot of companies to adopt this renewable energy in, whether it is the wind energy, solar, or biomass or biogas. But naturally, when there is an ambitious target of 50% kept, or it is also being said that, those all pollution emanating sources, there will be a considerable reduction of 45% into those. So that means the Indian government is quite serious and have taken it. And I believe we saw the reflection of those commitments in the budget, interim budget also. And I believe when there will be the next budget also set it up, that it will be coming how in, government regulations will be coming to adopt onto the greener energy forms, and parallelly, committing on the, as Mr. Prahlada was saying, the commitment of the finance that is coming up onto us, supporting this greener energy.
Definitely. Thank you for sharing your viewpoint. So, to promote the development of green technology, what government initiatives do you see in the budget?
Basically, there is a, right from the day one, our vision from the new government was actually zero defect and zero impact. That was a, buzzword. So basically, the green initiatives, what our Tata Motor is actually integrating, I will like to focus on that actually. So basically, we are signatory to RE100, and the power of the powertrain is the differentiator. We have actually started early mover to the car manufacturing in the EV, and we have alliance here. And in the commercial vehicle also we have gone into that EV, and there are alternate fuel options as well. So we are looking from the ICE to other LNG, CNG, and then we are also into the hydrogen. We have a very tie up with Cummins for making the hydrogen engines actually. So that is actually our commitment towards a net zero, and we have our roadmap to integrate and take the leverage of the government initiatives, what government is saying. So green is actually our making a very green foray into the automobile. And to tell you, we have, just to adopt this green technology, we are actually going through this circular economy model. So we have a lot of initiatives. Like we have a pro-life, where we have a reconditioning of our engines, transmissions. So this is basically, trying to avoid the virgin material, the reusing all those things. So basically, this 5R, whatever we talk about, right from the the modularity in design, the reducing the impact of carbon during the manufacturing process, and being an automobile manufacturer, our maximum impact is in the usage phase. So as you rightly said, you said that lightweighting of vehicle is another strategy we are adopting. So using those advanced high strength steel, that those are actually having twin advantages. One is to improve the crash resistance. Our products are going to 5-star rating on NCAP. So those advanced high strength steel, dual phase steels. To tell you, just if you reduce around 10% of the weight, it gives an advantage of around 5 to 7% fuel economy. And that thereby you are actually usage phase, you are trying to tell pipe emissions are actually big, and we owe a bigger responsibility. In automobile manufacturing, we owe a bigger responsibility. So that's why our strategy is to two-pronged actually. One is to integrate across all entire value chain, right from the upstream, and it is actually cannot be done in a boundary. It has to be boundaryless, and we are trying to do in a seamless manner, right from the upstream to the entire ecosystem. So that is how our leadership is actually very much committed, and our chairman himself is a digital. So I can tell you that in this world, there are two things which I can perceive that these are irreversible. One is digitization, another is sustainability. This trend is going to continue, and this is not going to reverse actually. So this is one, we are aspiring to meet all those COP which Pandey has just talked about, COP commitment. So we are committed to that.
Thank you very much for sharing your opinion. And as you rightly said, digitization and sustainability, they are irreversible things. So coming to Mr. Prakash, how can the machining and machine tool industry integrate sustainable practices and ESG consideration into their operations?
I think one area which is not so much talked about of sustainability is machine tools. I think if you see, most of the focus is more on automobile, while they are the kind of the second end user of the various products and the materials. Machine tools generally has been so far not so much looked at. But however, the fundamental principles of any sustainable measures, such as resource efficiencies or material efficiencies, are very much valid even for the machine tool industries. So, if I have to give you a fundamental view of the machine tool, the entire machine tool consists, if you look at it, it's about 80% steel and maybe some of them is cast iron based on the type of application. So, unless we look at the resource efficiency and the material efficiency, we actually, as such, we use about a huge amount of carbon footprint in our product itself. So, in terms of the machine tool industry, right now it is still in, I would say, not in a scalable area where they can effectively use the material efficiency and material resources more effectively or change the materials. But it is right now changing. Slowly people are finding out through the research and development and innovation, not only in India, but I think worldwide, there has been a lot of development in terms of use of different materials, be it the bed or the machine slides or anything. But there are certain materials where you can't change because of the technical limitations. So in those areas, I think the machine tool builders are trying to look at resource conservation. That is basically how they can look at in terms of 3 R's: reduce, reuse, or recycle. Now, when I say that, because the machine tool uses, it could be from a metal cutting to any other machine tool, uses enormous amount of energy. Now, of course, the end user is trying to use the machine tool builder is trying to use in their manufacturing the green energy as well. So these are some of the things I would say are very, very basic, which can be applied even to the machine tools. The greener materials and the water management. Of course, the machine tool comes, some of the machine tools comes with the various cutting oils and cutting coolants. So in those areas also, biocompatible, biodegradable materials are being looked at, though not 100% successful. Based on the applications, these are being looked at. So I think it's a slightly, I would say, a slower journey to the machine tools field compared to the other sectors of the industries. But however, it's catching up.
Thank you very much for sharing the diverse points. Coming to you, Ms. Neela, what are your views about manufacturing integrating sustainable practices into their operations?
Thank you, Gopalji, for asking this. I myself is a sustainability certified expert, and I love to write about this, especially how can we integrate sustainability into the supply chain. From not only from my order intake to the order fulfillment. And let's talk about each and everything out here. And, I always see that there are these 3 pillars that I call them C, that is social, economic, and environment. Because what happened is when we talk about sustainability, most of the time we talk about, okay, what's the environmental impact, or there has been a carbon emission reduction, but then we need to talk in a holistic way for all the things. Now, for an example, like as I said, I love to talk about how can we do the sustainability implementation in the supply chain, especially per se if I have to ask about the procurement, or because supply chain is the one area that is actually the highest emitter of the carbon in the whole process of the, if we see for any organization. So it's very, very important that, if you see from the environmental side, which I see. So are we taking those suppliers which are into the ethical sourcing, or how are we questioning the suppliers in terms of how and what is their practices of manufacturing? If it is like, are we adopting the material like as Mr. Prakash was saying, the alternate material or the material that can be recycled and reused, and even from the stage of product design, that those thought has to be coming in. And if it is coming on the social angle, that what is the labor fair practices, because sustainability is also, there is also a social side of the sustainability. So how is the labor fair practices, how is the diversity and inclusion is a part of the whole organization, manufacturing, in supply chain and all. And fourth part is about the economic point, because this is where most of the thing comes in. What is my long term benefits versus the short term? And that is where I believe that's also pose a challenge to many of the organizations, because when me and my company, we consult a lot of organizations who wanted to adopt, but one is comes in, okay, do I want to invest it, because I'm seeing the benefits are not coming into the shorter time, maybe they're long. So that is where most of the organizations see that whether I'm interested in a short term versus a long term, and looking over the total cost, and that is where one has to be looking into it. When it comes to sustainability implementation into the procurement, are we even putting in my RFQ that these are my sustainability requirements, and asking the supplier that are you doing it like this, putting it as a part of the contract? Because the way we put it, that this is the year on year cost reduction I need, are we putting it up like this, or do we have a framework that if I have to have a supplier on board, that these are the checklists that I am I need to, my supplier need to pass in? Because this is about implementing sustainability in all the process, and not only that I'll only do it from my one side of the angle. So the whole processes has to be looked on, whether it is my water consumption, whether it is about renewable energy uses, whether it is about reduction in the carbon emissions, or whether it is even making a very simple awareness to my supplier partners and also to my team, that what exactly sustainability is. I believe that is somewhere the challenges and the hurdles, because I believe there is a lot of awareness is required, even in our working teams, to tell the people that how, and then only we can go for more deeper implementation of it. Thank you
very much, Ms. Neelam, for sharing the finer points of sustainability. Coming to Mr. Vipin, you are talking about the automobiles emissions and other things, and there is another sector which is fast coming of defense. So what challenges do defense industry face in achieving sustainability goals to influence green manufacturing? Mr. Vipin.
It's a very difficult question you have asked me. See,
no, it's not so difficult for you experts, sir.
So basically, we have been trying very hard, to do some changes in the material and the defense manufacturing. So it's a very difficult thing to do, but we have been able to do some, foray into it. Let me tell you that for paramilitary applications, as for our domestic customers, we have gone into the BS6 vehicles. So similarly, that BS6 compliant vehicles we have given to paramilitary, MOD, this thing. Then also, recently we launched RD vehicle, the pollution, the environmental, tailpipe emissions we can monitor through this thing. That product also we have been able to, sell to them. Actually, we convinced them a lot of, for intra-city applications. For those areas, where actually the steel still considered to be, they don't change. Like for I say you fuel tank, for the example, fuel tank, especially for this thing, traditionally it has been steel, traditionally, and it is actually considered to be very strong, in terms of this thing. But now with the technological changes, a lot of fuel tanks which has come, which are actually from the reinforced plastics, etc. But we have been finding very difficult. But when we look at the holistically, when we talk of the total carbon impact entire the value chain. So as Ms. Pathak was talking about the supply chain, so we have been trying to get impact assessment on those suppliers who are supplying to our defense parts, to that kind of thing. So overall, at the product side, actually we have not been able to do much, but on the supply chain side and the manufacturing side, we are using all those sustainable technology in terms of this thing. In fact, in supplier end also, the way he's manufacturing is also very, very important. The kind of painting processes, the heat treatment processes, the pickling processes. I mean, those kind of hazardous chemicals we are using. We had a very terrible time some time back when one of our key vendors got closed because of he was not meeting the environmental norms. So basically, when you have to take the entire value chain, you have to take everybody along. So that's actually take on defense. But over the period of this thing, we have, as I told you, that we are going to migrate to lightweight steels and all. So these are coming. This we are making indent into it, and I'm very optimistic that with a change of mindset, it not in the product also we will be able to make some this thing. On technology part, we have already done, so that way it is actually going.
Yes, we are advancing on the technology part also, and thank you for sharing this deep insights. Mr. Prahlad, coming to you, we were talking about the sustainability. So what trends do you see will shape the future of green manufacturing in coming times?
Going by the thing what Prakash was mentioning about machine tools, we also are a part of the fraternity. Woodworking machine tools, though not that robust, but of course they are faster machines. So this is that actually the thing is the informed customers are there from the woodworking sector, because now this thing about demand for certified products, particularly wood products like FSC certified, PFC certified products. So we have a lot of informed customers there, and in turn, our customers who make those products, they actually demand for green technologies that is there. It is in the nascent stage in India, but it has caught up a lot in our export markets in Europe, Australia, and Americas. The other trend that is catching up is factory energy management systems that is there. So green and energy efficient machines that are there, and adopting gas-based fuel systems that are there, gas-based generators instead of diesel generators. That is what is the trend is. And as Ms. Patak was mentioning, the supply chain should be kept in tandem with this thing. And here this thing is message is about circular economy. Not only the 3 R's, the other 4 R's to add are the redesign, repair, renew, and recover along with the 3 R's. So that we need to think about. And we need to bring in the supply chain along with this thing. And that effort is really put across with our supply chain management team here, and as well as Italy and Brazil. And the next trend that what is catching up, of course, with woodworking industries, an exciting thing that is the smart factories. So let it be irrespective MSME or a large scale format, it doesn't matter now, because we can integrate the technologies through networking and Internet of Technologies. So that has caught up also in the small scale, small and medium enterprises. So another this thing is explore additive manufacturing and hybrid manufacturing. The ACE has got an extension as Amaze, and Makino has its own additive manufacturing division now. And in fact, BSA also has this thing tie-up actually with the Israeli manufacturer Massivit, and the carbon footprint along with the machine thing. So when they ask machine footprint, the customers will also check on the carbon footprint that is there. So I remember that while traveling on Cathay, I just checked on my air ticket, and carbon emissions were printed on the ticket for that journey, which was from Singapore to Hong Kong. So at that time, so I was quite surprised. But now people will definitely demand that in the future about the carbon footprint of the machine or the equipment that will be there. And of course, embracing circular economy models will be there, and the stringent policy framework that what governments are insisting across to meet the carbon targets that are there, emission targets. And of course, finally, large-scale enterprises that are there, like the Indian Oil Corporation, energy giants that are there, carbon capture and utilization and storage, that will actually percolate even to industries like OEMs like us. So that will be the future trend that will be catching up, and all of us as manufacturers will be answerable for this CCUS system.
Thank you for sharing your suggestions, Mr. Prahlad. Coming to you, Mr. Prakash. He's talking about the carbon capture and carbon emissions, and we are getting more smarter towards the technologies. So for adoption of smart and connected machining solutions, do you think they contribute to a responsible and ethical industry?
Yeah, I think from a green manufacturing point of view, basically it comes under the broad perspective of effective resource utilization. basically, see, these IoT technologies or Industry 4.0 are actually trying to reduce your waste in the entire manufacturing operations or operations itself. So from that point of view, these technologies, what we call Industry 4.0 is under the broad umbrella of Industry 4.0, the various technologies just come where they are actually trying to help you to optimize the resource utilization. They also help you to look at the predictive maintenance, where you don't have to get into a major issues. And when we say resource utilization, even the take for examples under the machines, we have a lot of things. There is air, water, coolant, and the energy. Now these things are going to be monitored very effectively using these technologies, and it can be analyzed, and then a corrective or a preventive measures can be taken in terms if there is a large gap between the defined energy consumption or the resource consumption versus the actual. So these are helping you to actually minimize your resources in your production. At the same time, when I say production, as being a machine tool manufacturer, even we do a lot of manufacturing in-house. So we also use these technologies to actually minimize what you say is the waste, which ultimately results in your carbon footprint reduction. Another important thing is the technology can play a good role connecting to Ms. Neelam and also Prahlad Rao, that supply chain transparency will improve. In the sense, when you use these technologies, currently the most difficult thing is about how the supply chain and the wastes are captured. That is completely a black box. I think this technology, if you extend it to those supply chain, I'm very sure that challenge is there with the tier 3 or tier 4 or the last point in the entire supply chain. But however, if you start making an effort, and if the technologies are becoming very affordable, and as we see the progress in the smart devices or the chip manufacturing, the technology is in fact becoming very affordable. Only thing, there is a mindset that it is very costly. So I think the mindset has to change so that this becomes this thing. So the data-driven decision making, it's going to help you. And remote monitoring and control. This is one area where, which earlier was again considered as a very difficult one. And now with this kind of a technologies, you will be able to actually monitor and take action to bring it under the control. Now, whether the control limits, we want to bring it down, of course, that requires innovation and I would say research to change the entire paradigm. So that's my views on the technology.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Prakash, for sharing those deeper points. Mr. Vipin, coming to you again. So I talk about automotive companies. How do you deal with the changing consumer preferences and expectations in the context of digitization and connectivity?
So that's a wonderful question, actually. So being there, in automotive sector, the customer centricity is actually a core of our business. This is fundamental, actually, changing consumer needs. So the consumers are becoming very savvy, digital savvy. So first of all, adoption of digital technology into product. This is one area. Second is actually, nobody wants downtime on the vehicle. Suppose you are talking of a commercial vehicle, no downtime is allowed. So how basically you are trying to proactively understand the issues which is going to face actually. So the connected vehicle concept, actually we are actually connected to the central server. So whatever issue is going to face proactively, we know. So with adoption of this RD, I told you that the online monitoring of your whatever you are actually emitting to this thing. And then when you talk of the connected vehicle, connected vehicle actually is trying to connect through a central server. So you are actually giving a delight to the customer. So customer is having, and if you talk of cars now, cars actually now with growing, this thing in the diversity, this thing, the women are actually very, very, consumer of the car actually. So how to make those cars to them, very, very user friendly in terms of the, auto transmission, in terms of the powertrain actually. So I'm personal user of the EV. EV are the first one I have to take, and it's a wonderful. So adoption of EV vehicles, actually, this is also having a change in the mindset. The mindset change is actually required, and then basically what impact you are making to the, to overall ecosystem. Like the powertrain, which is actually one of the major tailpipe emission, this thing. So consumer preference is changing in terms of technology, in terms of safety. Our most of the cars are actually 5-star rating, so that gives a peace of mind. And this all our portfolio is actually going towards making a very crash resistant, safe vehicle in terms of the technology, and in terms of the ergonomics, in terms of everything. So all products are actually designed in such a way that we are ahead of time. So we are actually also sometimes co-creating a product. We are taking the consumer this thing. So this is how we are actually moving into the customer centricity in terms of the basically. I'll tell you. It is very, very important when your vehicle goes under breakdown. So how fast you are responding to that? That is, customer expects you how fast you are responding to that. So we have a lot of initiatives like customer service portal, where it is actually everything is logged. The moment the problem is logged, how fast you have been able to resolve. So it is actually exceeding customer expectations many times. How we are actually trying to make the customer delight. So these are some of the initiatives Tata Motors has taken, and this is a leading, commercial vehicle manufacturer in terms of. So we have to be always ahead of the other competitors. So we are trying to do that actually. Still, we have not reached the excellence, but we are in the journey of excellence. Actually, we are trying to do that.
Definitely, Mr. Vipin. As you rightly said, EV ecosystem is generating slowly, and it would catch up fast. One more thing that comes into being is the material uses. Ms. Neelam, which sustainable material uses can influence green manufacturing practices?
Thank you for asking this. In fact, when the earlier I was mentioning that when it comes to material or the product innovation, it is very, very important to think from the very start when we are having the concept of the product or the services. Very few examples. For an example, if I have to choose a material for whether it is an automotive industry or any other industry, naturally we look for, okay, what is the lighter material so that my power to weight ratio can be improved. But then we also now need, and plus we also look into the cost. But now it is also very, very important to look onto which are the material which will be recyclable, which are the material which could be reused, or which has a longer lifespan, so that I do not create the waste in the system. So this is from the design side. When it comes to, Mr. Prakash was already talking about the technology uses into the manufacturing part and the logistic, that how it is bringing the transparency part and the communication, which is the third pillar of the sustainability, that is the governance, to bring the transparency. Today we have real-time data of machine health, products, number, how many that's been created, that we can check it on our mobiles. That's a real-time data, and that's very, very effective, because then we are able to plan it. But let me come to the third part of it. When it comes to, for example, even thinking of that, can I have a green packaging? Because there are a lot of work going on to having the green packaging material selection. But I know today, when the question comes in again versus the cost of choosing that material, it is higher because we do not have a lot of manufacturer into that. But then, as I said, that as it evolves more, as there will be more adaptability, and as we know that today consumers are asking, they are getting sensitive about using a greener product, especially the Gen Z generations. They are very, very sensitive about that. How can I have the reusability of this? Or because we are talking about sustainability, it is not a choice that, okay, I'll do, but it has to, now it has that every company has to adopt it. It's a promise that every organization has to make it. So whether it is about the packaging, when we talk about the green packaging, whether it is coming from the material choice during the product thought or product manufacturing, or even if I say a very simple, even if it comes to the last mile delivery. Now today, as you know, even most of the last mile deliveries are happening because OEMs are choosing electric vehicle or alternate fuel vehicles so that they can cut on their carbon emissions. So I believe this has to be seen from each angle of the processes, that how we can reduce and how we can use material which are more recyclable and reusable with a longer span of life. How can we use the material that reduces my carbon emissions or the greenhouse gas emissions, and how can I reduce the whole waste that I am putting into the whole environment. So I look at that it has to be seen from that perspective overall.
Thank you very much, Ms. Neelam, for sharing their thoughts. Lastly, coming to Mr. Prahlad. See, we were talking in the entire discussion, we were talking about the sustainability, as Mr. Prakash was also mentioning about the Industry 4.0 and other things, and digitization and connectivity also propped in. So what steps should be taken to train the workforce or increasing the awareness about?
The emphasis should be given on actually educating and training the people on risk assessment and risk analysis. That is there on the three perspectives, that is on the economy and the society and the environment, particularly in terms of environment when it comes to the manufacturing practices. And the emergency response and rescue protocols, particularly in industries where we handle the hazardous materials, particularly chemicals, that is there. So we have sensitized our operators on the ROS compliance that is very much required being an European MNC. And we also train them and upgrade them on the requirements on the EU machinery regulation, because that is one benchmark that we should seek into the information on rules of safety of machines and robots. That is recently that is upgraded in December 2022. And also, as a BSA group, we lay very particular emphasis on the sustainability training to our employees and also our supply chain partners. We actually have that ecosystem in creating the awareness. So they can acquire the knowledge on the environment, society, and the economy aspects. We actually have very good practice of publishing sustainability reports yearly, and that actually clearly gives, it's an audited report by Deloitte, and that clearly spells out about the initiatives that we, as a group of companies, that what are the initiatives that we are taking in adapting green manufacturing practices thing. So we have to actually bring in our employees first on board to have these practices in the manufacturing environment. And we actually train on continuously update to reflect new trends and the regulatory changes that are there in sustainability. And actually, we have hired now in our corporate headquarters, we have an energy manager and a lady, a PhD with a PhD in environmental science. So she is made responsible for both CSR activities as well as for the sustainability activities what we actually have. And it actually involves topics with environmental chemistry, environmental sustainability of materials, and safety, and both that is internal and external to the company, what impact actually our manufacturing practices have on the environment. That also is the employees and including and the top management vision, whatever is there. The most important thing here is the vision of the top management that is very much emphasized in BSA with our identity and values. So that is actually have this thing, that effect is there downstream till our employees who have been trained particularly in this to adapt these practices in day-to-day manufacturing.
Very much, Mr. Prahlad, and thank you all to you, ladies and gentlemen. It was a session and which had knowledge worth sharing. It was quite an interesting one.